Silence is one of the most underrated yet most powerful tools we possess as human beings. In a world where everyone is rushing to speak, to argue, to post, to prove themselves right, silence often feels like a weakness or even a form of surrender. But silence is not absence, and it is not emptiness. Silence is presence in its purest form. It is the conscious choice to step back, to hold your words, and to allow wisdom, patience, and clarity to take their place. Knowing when to stay quiet is not about being passive. It is about being strong enough to control yourself when everything inside of you is screaming to react. There are countless situations in life when silence is not just appropriate, but deeply necessary. Think about an argument with someone you love. In the heat of the moment, words become weapons. Sharp, unfiltered words spill out in anger. And while they might win you the moment, they often lose you the bigger picture. A single sentence, spoken in rage, can cause a scar that years of apologies cannot erase. In those moments, staying quiet is not weakness. It is protection. It is restraint. It is love showing up in the form of silence. Because silence holds back the irreversible damage of careless words. When we stay quiet in the middle of anger, we are giving ourselves time to breathe, to process, and to return with words that build instead of words that break. Silence is equally important when we face ignorance or negativity. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every provocation needs to be entertained. In fact, many conflicts escalate simply because one person insists on having the last word. But the last word rarely proves who is wiser. It only proves who is louder. Sometimes the most dignified response is no response at all. Silence in the face of ignorance is not defeat. It is refusal to lower yourself to the level of noise. It is choosing peace over petty validation. It is letting your actions and your character speak louder than any argument ever could. In leadership, silence becomes a different kind of power. True leaders know that it is not always about speaking the most or filling every silence with instructions and advice. Great leaders listen more than they speak. They understand that silence creates space for others to share their thoughts, their concerns, their creativity. When a leader stays quiet at the right time, it builds trust. It shows humility. It allows people to feel heard, and being heard is one of the deepest human needs. Leadership is not about dominating with words, but about guiding with presence. And sometimes, presence is best expressed through silence. There is also wisdom in staying quiet when we do not yet know enough. In an age where everyone wants to appear knowledgeable, where people feel pressured to have an opinion on every matter, silence becomes a form of honesty. Admitting through our quietness that we do not yet understand is better than pretending we do and misleading others. Staying quiet allows us to listen, to observe, to absorb knowledge before speaking. The quiet learner becomes the wise teacher in time, but the one who never stops talking never grows beyond what they already know. Even in moments of injustice, silence has its place. This may sound paradoxical, because silence in the face of injustice can sometimes be complicity. But there is a difference between silence that ignores and silence that listens. Silence that withdraws to plan. Silence that waits for the right time. Rash words, shouted without thought, often fall on deaf ears. But silence that takes in the weight of the situation, that pauses before responding, can eventually create words that carry impact and authority. It is not about never speaking against wrong. It is about knowing that silence prepares us to speak with clarity, strategy, and effectiveness rather than noise that gets drowned out. Silence is also a gift to ourselves. Life moves fast, voices bombard us from every direction, and the pressure to respond instantly never seems to end. In this chaos, choosing silence becomes a way of protecting our inner peace. Silence gives us the chance to reflect, to sort through our emotions, to find out what we really think and feel. When we sit in silence, we come face to face with ourselves, and often that is where the answers we've been searching for begin to surface. It is in silence that creativity is born, that healing begins, that strength is renewed. We live in a culture that often confuses busyness with productivity, but silence reminds us that stillness is also a form of progress. On a deeper spiritual level, silence is sacred. Nearly every spiritual tradition teaches the power of stillness. When we pray or meditate, we are not filling the air with endless words, but entering a place of quiet. In silence, we connect with something beyond ourselves, whether you call it God, the universe, or the deep wisdom within.